All right, everybody and art lovers, welcome. We are here today with a guy I have interviewed, in the past, but only a little tiny snippet. Today we're going to get more into his mind, figure out exactly what makes this guy tick. This is David Lozeau. He's
Thanks for having me. Good to be back up in town. It's been 3 and some change years since we're back up here, so
it's
good
great
back
to
at the
have you.
gallery.
So, on our first interview, we were in your studio. I got to ask you about how it all started, and unfortunately, that was a live. So this is a recorded one for our YouTube channel. We're going to kind of touch base on, exactly how the whole art career started and what your background is and what makes you
Sordid tale. Yeah.
So
I'll try to make it sound interesting.
Yeah, go for it. Tell me all about you again.
You got a prompt with that. It's too wide. Give me a prompt.
Well, where did it all start? And were you artistic as a kid? I didn't ask you.
Definitely. I was the kid constantly in trouble, drawing on books, drawing on desks, that kind of thing. So always in trouble, always drawn to art, filling sketchbooks, kind of doing that kind of stuff. Always had that drive. Luckily, I had a relative who was a graphic designer. So it gave me a creative direction very young, maybe 14, 15 in high school, realizing, you can do creative stuff as a job. I'm from New England. From New Hampshire, there wasn't a lot of creative jobs that I saw. So this was like, I can do this. I can still draw, but again, at that stage, everybody in my life, artists were just these people in a loft in a New York apartment that, they weren't real people.
It was a very unattainable
Exactly.
kind of thing.
Yeah. It was this fairy tale. So I started doing a direction. So I went to school for graphic design, and I was thrilled. I did that for about 7 years and didn't paint. I had an art minor, didn't take any painting classes, but I took all the drawing classes.
Wow.
I think that's why the style became so illustrative when I found it 7 years later and realized I missed the painting aspect. I kind of, one night, put the paints out during a snowstorm and realized, this is like a creative outlet that isn't the same as my graphic design.
Right.
I realized this part of my brain had been asleep and just waiting to be kind of stirred, and just kind of started me painting, and it was abstracts and weird nudes and oil and all these different things, trying to navigate what I wasn't anymore because it'd been so long since I had touched creative. I had sketched a little bit, nothing at all like painting, so
right.
time to kind of reinvest in that. I moved to the West Coast and was exposed to the tiki and hot rod scene in San Diego, and immediately was inspired.
Well, that's cool.
And seeing artists like Robert Williams and Jimbo Phillips, guys I'd seen their skate decks and seen their work before, I was seeing them live and meeting them and seeing their work, and I was like, wow, this is a real thing. And to see the community, it just didn't exist on the East Coast. You painted, like I said, you paint lobsters and you paint seascapes. Yeah, lighthouses. That's what you paint.
Right.
Which wasn't interesting to me to see like hot rods and tikis with skulls. I was like, this is what I want to do.
So as a kid, when you were messing around with the painting aspect and things, did you do any sort of, were you drawn to skeletons even back in those days?
I think every kid is drawn to that, heavy metal stuff.
Right, sure.
So, the weird characters and stuff. But it was really kind of all over the place. It was really graffiti kind of feeling and skateboardy kind of art.
Sure.
And when I look back at it, it's weird to see. But I grew up, I was really into rap music, so it was a lot of, stylized letters and weird characters and from that kind of graffiti scene, because graffiti was the only other place I was seeing art being made live, or being, watching a guy make art besides Bob Ross. So to see that being made, I'm like, that's cool. It kind of, when you can see it made, it knocks down the wall. That's attainable. I'm watching a human make that. When you just walk in and see a painting, sometimes it's abstract to think a human made that. So to see it being done, I was like, that's awesome. And that was cool, and the colors kind of drew me into that part.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, it's amazing that you're so prolific and that you can do this in front of thousands of people like you have for years and years. You used to do all those tent festivals, and I was amazed to find out that you had done them for 12 or 13
12
years.
My career was built doing events live, and doing for 12 years of painting out front, sharing the work. It was a great trial by fire because it made me my personality is very, I came from a business background before art, so I was able to talk and speak and promote. And to me, it was never a big deal to paint and talk to people. And people were always like, like even here I'm painting, people whisper behind me. I'm like, no, that makes me freak out. Don't whisper. Talk to me. Because people don't know to disturb. So to bring the art to people, let them see it being done is for me really a big part of the art. To show them this is, it's so intricate, but it is hand done. It's new with a little brush, tootling away on this stuff. So.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people ask you, did this guy actually paint all these?
Or
are these generated?
Yeah, exactly. It's digital. What is this? And that's why from day one, painting like that, and I'm so accustomed to it that when I paint at home and it's quiet, I don't focus. I will
Sure.
walk away from the easel. I'm used to like, you sit down at 9 a.m., the show opens, and then I take a lunch break, and that's it. But I paint the entire day, and that's how I want to work. So to be I almost want like a crowd noise track to play in the background
There
when I'm
you go.
painting in the studio. It's just so quiet.
Have to get one of those big screen TVs with people walking back.
Yes, chewing the popcorn and stuff, so I can get the lights, that feel of chewing in my ear. I need to have that to get stuff done apparently.
So, who were some of your biggest influences, and what kind of made you develop that style? I know you said it was the rat rod kind of tattoo culture and things of that nature. Like, what was the very first skeleton piece that you did? Was it flamenco, or was it?
She's the first like finished piece at that level.
Yeah.
That flamenco peligroso. But I was doing smaller stuff, painting on, again, because of the hot rod scene. It's very common to paint on things,
Right.
Bowling pins and,
Yes.
and gas cans. It's part of that hot rod culture. So I was immersed in that. I was painting on all kinds of objects, mandolins, violins, instruments.
Wow.
And I was loving it because I use the enamel paint, so it doesn't need any kind of primer. You paint it on and it lasts forever. So I was really drawn to the object stuff, and I started doing lots of that and experimenting with characters. And there was some Scully characters, but it was all kinds of characters. It was their little drunk mariachis. It was little pigs and all these weird different facets. Navigating, but the style was the same. The black line work, very strong, very detailed, and it just got more and more detailed when I found the pinstriping paint after doing those shows.
Right.
My mind was blown. I was like, that's how my brain sees things. Like that illustrative line work is how when I look at an object, that's what I see. So to find a paint that I could, that's me. That's what I do. You kind of connected the dots. Yeah.
It's such a neat. You've got such a definitive style. There's no mistaking a piece of your work when you see it. And I've actually got to see recently one of the bowling pins that you painted.
Yeah.
I must have been
See
early
those come back.
2000.
Really early stuff. Yeah. And then just see those pop around. I know one of my collectors hunted one of those down. He found. It's fun to see that stuff because it's been so many years since you've done that. And it's the good part is I'm very fortunate to have a style. I didn't try and go, this is going to be my style. It's just how my brain saw it.
It just happened.
Yeah, and I know a lot of artists struggle with that, and it is a challenge, and I completely can understand. I was almost gifted, like this is how my brain saw it, and it was so different from other people that it's like, okay, I don't have to. I can paint a bird, I can paint a skeleton, and it's me because it's the style. And I was fortunate to have that just kind of develop from how my brain saw things, and it's just been refining that over the years and more and more. And again, when you do line work, black and white. Like, there's no on or off. There's no gray shades of that. So I had to learn how to, like the piece I'm working on today has a lot of lighting effects. So how do you do lighting if you have to draw dark lines for the object?
Right.
So it's a real challenge. I'm constantly, navigating and exploring and testing and trying to push myself to make mistakes and try new things. And for me, it's one of those things, it can only get better. I look at every piece and go, wow, I can learn more things. There's more improvement to be made. And it's a challenge that I really enjoy.
Yeah, well, it's amazing to see your work progress. And one of the cool things that I love that you do too are the sculpts. And you've done a lot of tiki sculpture and things of that nature. And then you do these great lines of resin casted pieces. Have you ever thought of doing some, maybe some bronzes one day?
Bronzes for sure. I love the long term. To me, a bronze is like, okay, now that's done for the next 2,000 years.
Yeah,
I love the idea.
You can throw it in the ocean.
Exactly. The permanence of a bronze.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I love 3D. I've always, because of the hot rod culture, also gave me, I did shift knobs, and that kind of started my 3D drawing. I carved tikis, kind of gave me all that 3D feel, which I still love to do. And finally, I did sculpts for Disney to kind of do those one-offs. It was really fun to kind of capture them, and I always enjoy that. And trying to figure out where that fits in my workflow currently. It's still kind of figuring that out. But bronzes. I love the idea of that. To see a piece immortalized like that is pretty neat. Neat idea.
Yeah, and with all the technology they have these days with the three-dimensional foaming, you can totally have 2/3 of it done.
Exactly,
you can go back in and do some work and have a really cool piece. I'd love to see something like Love Trust or something like that.
Exactly.
And bronze would be awesome. So, Dave is in the studio this weekend doing a little bit of painting. Obviously, this is going to run multiple times and it'll be way out of date. But we do carry pretty much a full line of your work. I also get a lot of the things that nobody gets to see, like the older works that are discontinued in your actual portfolio. We still pull out things.
Bigger size stuff.
Exactly.
Sizes, acrylic prints, exclusive things that are here only. So a couple prints are even exclusive to here only.
Right, and luckily enough to get some originals here and there, because 99% of them are sold before you even get some done these days.
I got to sneak them in the truck and not show anybody until I get here.
Yeah. So what's new on the horizon? What are you looking to go into 2023 doing, and any other thoughts of coming back again for us to trap you for another?
Exactly. I think the holidays is a great time to come up here. I think works great schedule wise, but also just to see everybody and to see the collectors we've had for years. It's a great time. So I think we're trying to make this a permanent thing. For next year, I'm really excited now. We moved about a year and a half ago, and I've been working and fixing my studio, or I have a detached studio now. So basically that's finally up and running. We live stream once a week now. We're getting that up and running long term so people can watch the work being made there. I have pieces already in the works. I'm just finally, after trying to get settled with the move, I have now my workflow basically planned out for the year, like all the new pieces that are coming. So it's exciting to think that far in advance. When I'm on the road doing shows, I was kind of show to show to show. So to be able to plan this in advance and have it ready has been exciting to have it ready to go.
Are you going to do a sculpt this next year at all, or a sculpt set?
Who knows? Who knows? It's all the works. Yeah, and things like tiki mugs, things just happen where a company reaches out sometimes. We have snowboards. They were just released this year.
Yeah,
it's available now, and then new ones are already in the designs for next year. So those are already in the works.
Nice,
so it's fun to. And this kind of pop up those relationships sometimes where it's like they like, hey, we want to do this, and then the next thing you know, you got some cool products.
So speaking of the new place, he's an avocado farmer now too, which I think is kind of amazing.
If the art thing doesn't work out, yeah, we have
you got a backup plan.
Backup plan. We have moved to the place. It had 100 trees when we got there, and we just planted 200 more, so we have 300 avocado trees. So
wow,
it's like a real deal. Yeah,
that's a lot of work on top of doing the other work.
Exactly, but it's fun and surrounded by green. It's really having a little bit of land too just kind of gets me out in the middle of nowhere and the nature. I mean, the birds that have been coming in. I mean, I started a whole separate Instagram just for birds because I'm constantly out there photographing them. It's kind of a fun, really relaxing place to be in.
It's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks a ton for letting me pick your brain for a few minutes and letting everybody here get to know you a little bit more. Yeah. Like I've told everyone many times, come into the gallery, see his full collection. I can get you anything you want, and hopefully you'll get a chance to come in and meet Dave one day. So thanks, art lovers. This is Ian Russell and David Lozeau signing off.
Thanks for having me. Good times, and hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.